What the F? So my mom told me never to say that, actually, all the way out. But the overview effect is a way of describing, and this is kind of the official definition, the cognitive shift in perspective that somebody has when they have the opportunity to view Earth from space. And that's with respect to perspectives like, your perception of yourself, the planet, the future. And so when I think about it as, well, it's this reality check of who and where we all are in space together. The interconnectivity of everything and everyone. It's this beautiful presentation of our planetary home. And it absolutely, and I can speak to this, for anybody who does experience it, it fills you with this gratitude that I don't think you necessarily have to go to space to appreciate, but it's gratitude that then leads you to want to take action with respect to that place that you're seeing through the window. Okay, so the overview effect was coined by a really wonderful gentleman named Frank White. I encourage you to learn more about Frank. He is one of the most thoughtful, humble earthlings that I've ever met. I am thankful to call him friend. He actually came up with this idea while on an airplane, thinking about what people who live off the Earth might experience sometimes. So he came to it looking out an airplane window. Really amazing guy. And whenever I do think, like WTF, with respect to the overview effect, it's when I hear people talking about the overview effect very purposefully and deliberately, like astronauts came up with the term. And I can tell you, no astronaut came up with that term. And Frank, he deserves the respect for sharing and delivering that for all of us who did not know how to really describe the experience. Well, I could talk, you can tell I'm a rambler. I could talk all day about this one. So first I have to say that when I went to space, I had never heard, it had been coined already, I had never heard the term overview effect. I am thankful now that I know it. I'm thankful that I know Frank. I think that even without knowing those two words, those before me, those after me, I definitely experienced it. For me, the biggest thing was, we go to space, we lift off the planet, it's a really complex thing to launch, to get out of the hold that gravity has on us. It's a really complex thing to just live and work in space for even a short period of time, to get back to Earth safely, not to mention the science and the tech and the international relationships that are going on there. But in the end, it wasn't really the complexity that I reflected on. It was the simplicity in it all, too. That experience floating in front of the window. I mean, it brought to life for me things that everyone in this room knows. We knew it when we were in kindergarten, like floating in front of the window and being like, oh my gosh, we live on a planet. That's a pretty, we should know that. We're all earthlings. Only border that matters, that thin blue line of atmosphere that blankets and protects us all. And it's the kind of thing that I feel like it kind of gets out of us unless we purposely pay attention to it. I mean, there's not a day goes by now, and it's why I'm so thankful for the activities, for the conversations that we're having here. For someone gets up in front of us and draws the Earth, Mother Earth, on the white sheet of paper and tells us to be mindful of our feet on a planet, that connection, it's a huge deal. So if you get nothing else out of me this morning, it would be planet, Earthling, thin blue line, and every single one of us has to accept our role as crewmates and not passengers on Spaceship Earth. Well, to continue the answer to the last question, I would think it would be bring those three things into your daily life. I mean, acknowledge, feet on a planet, we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, we're orbiting the sun at 67,000 miles an hour. Those are pretty compelling, yet simple, yet pretty compelling things to consider in your daily life. And I think it raises your awareness of the awe and wonder that surrounds us every day. And I think that's what we use this, like opening your heart and your mind to things. That's exactly what it's about. I mean, I honestly believe somebody could, I don't know who they are, could go to space, shut the window, never look out, and could do their mission. But you have to open yourself to that experience, to what it's going to bring to you, not just what you're seeing and hearing maybe, but what you're feeling inside of you. And that is the spirit of it. I don't know where Albert is today, but the spirit of it all comes through that. And what we're doing here over these couple days, it's absolutely that kind of thing. What we did on Adventure Day yesterday, you know, snowshoeing through the forest, that is awesome and wonderful. You're connected to the planet. You're grateful, I think, to be in that place. You're opening yourself up to an experience that you might not have had otherwise. I spoke in preparation for this with Greg, who told me a story about being alone in the woods, in the forest, nighttime, snow, and feeling really alone. But then at the same time, bless you, connected in a way that he might not have felt otherwise. And as he's describing that to me, I'm thinking spacewalk. Just like being in your own little personal spaceship out floating around a station, you know, tethered, hopefully, and, you know, experiencing that, something that I was the farthest I would ever be from Earth, and yet I felt more connected to the planet below me and my people inside my space station than I had maybe roaming around otherwise. I mean, there are just so many ways. Diving, just being out in nature, weaving baskets out. I mean, I'm looking at that out here as an activity today, communicating the way we have about our own experiences. It just brings the awe and wonder to life, reminds us who and where we are, and that's what the overview effect is all about. Well, I think we should pursue space exploration. There's a number of ways. I mean, we have people in here who are doing it for us, who are making it possible for us to explore more of space, to do it in a more sustainable way. I mean, we need to think about that as well. What our footprint is going to be in other places when we very shortly get back to the moon, when we go on to Mars, when we become the Star Trek future that I'm hopeful to see, perhaps in my lifetime, probably not. But I think the reason we do that, though, is the same reason we've been doing it all along. Everything, absolutely everything that we're doing in space is off the Earth, for the Earth. Everything we do there is ultimately about improving life on Earth. The technology that we develop to do that, the way we work with our international partners, the maintenance, you know, International Space Station, football field-sized spaceship that's been orbiting the Earth for over 20 years. Best example of living off the grid that you can find. I mean, it's awesome. And all these things that are coming back, they're embedded in our daily lives in a way that it just is like ubiquitous. We don't even really pay attention to the fact anymore, how we get from point A to point B, how we communicate with each other, how we take our temperature with the infrared, you know, thermometer that, thank you, Christina, for raising that to me, is all about tech that we use, and the JPL guys can correct me, to measure the temperature between planets, you know, that kind of thing. You know, we're all here, I think, about how do we improve life on Earth? How do we sustain our planet in a way that we thrive? We don't just survive here. And most, if not all, of the data that we need to solve the greatest planetary challenges we have are coming to us from space through measuring of the vital signs of our planet. The difference between crewmate and passenger, I think, really is about action, about being willing to take action based on the things that you're experiencing around yourself, or the need to survive and thrive in a place. And, you know, I like to use the example of the International Space Station. It's a ginormous spaceship. It is. It's like a football. If you laid it on the ground, it's as big as a football field. It's been orbiting our Earth 16 times a day at about 17,500 miles an hour, which is about 5 miles a second, for over 20 years now, with people representing over 15 different countries that have somehow figured out how to peacefully and successfully work together in that place on this higher mission, off the Earth, for the Earth. And we build that place, that machine in space, to mimic as best we can what Earth does for us naturally. And we do that because we want the warm, fleshy ones to be able to live there, to be able to do the science there. And so every morning, We wake up and we float out of our crew compartments, and one of the very first things we do is we talk to the ground and we say, okay, here's how much CO2 is in our atmosphere. Here's how much clean drinking water we have. Here's what's going on with the integrity of our thin metal hull, and we've checked on the health and well-being of all of our crewmates. And it is just the most wonderful example for how we should be behaving like crewmates down here on Spaceship Earth. And you have to deliberately, proactively participate in that and take that action to make that possible. Well, I think change means to me, change is all about life and thriving, not just surviving. And acknowledging that change is going on around us always, everywhere, even if we're not paying attention to it. And I think it's really important that and this is not just to throw out the name, that we see change. Right? How's that? That we, again, open our hearts and minds to to raise our awareness of what is happening around us, not just, close to us, but how everything we're doing, what, nature is doing, and how that's playing out. And I think it comes back to the idea of overview effect, the gratitude, the action. It comes from building those very base truths, those grounding truths of planet, earthling, thin blue line into everything we do, so that we can recognize if the change that we are seeing or experiencing is leading us toward that future that we all want to see, right? Thank you, Gandhi, be the change you wish to see in the world thing. I think it holds truth in all of that. And I think that's the important thing, is for us to accept that, raise our awareness of it, and then figure out how to all be crewmates.